It's all good. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our park program, where we're going to learn how an industrial park turned into an innovation park. So good morning, and we appreciate everyone being here. Before we begin, I have a number of things I have to do, and then we'll get to this exciting program. First, welcome. I also want to thank all our board members that are in attendance today. I say this all the time, how important our board has been to the HIA-LI, that they're really the backbone of our association. And as we ran into COVID, they really rose up and they really supported an organization that has done everything in its power to grow the economy here on Long Island. So I'm going to ask our board members to please stand up because we're going to give you a hand of applause. Now I want to thank our sponsors. As you know, sponsors take programs like this and they elevate it. So let me read through these sponsors, and we have quite a few of them today. People's Alliance Federal Credit Union, Campolo, Middleton, McCormick, Long Island Cares, Farrell Fritz, GSE Dynamics, Custom Computer Specialists, Sandler Training, BCV Realty, PSEG Long Island, PKF O'Connor Davies, National Grid, Sun Nation Solar Systems, Catholic Health, Satyrus and Company, Suffolk IDA, Merchant Swag, Citron Cooperman, Mark Grossman, Public Relations. We also want to thank our supporters here, Chick-fil-A of Comac, the Sexy Salad for all the coffee down there, Astoria for their filming and everything else you do for us. Bob Giglione, photographer, right there. There he is, the legend in our mind. I almost said your own mind. And Kevin Wood Media. So if we can all give them a round of applause. Thank you. I also want to thank the IBEW, where they grow the Long Island's finest electricians right here for this venue. So let's give this union a round of applause. And now we're going to play some videos from our corporate sponsors, and then you're going to hear from a couple of people. Let's play some videos.
If our actual footprint was the size of our carbon footprint, most of us would have some pretty big shoes to fill.
Something down here, picking up speed.
Replace your old furnace or boiler and eliminate the need for fossil fuels like oil, propane, or natural gas. Get a cold climate heat pump system and shrink your carbon footprint. Better for you, your family, and the planet.
Yes, Rachel, you made that look so easy, just like me. Easy breezy. You know who's complicated? Cows. You know why? They have a lot of mooing parts. You know what else is complicated? Maintaining boilers, furnaces, and ACs. Do you know how much time a person spends doing that? No, I don't know either, but I bet it's a lot of time. A lot, like a lot. Yes, convenience looks good on this house. You know what else looks good on a house? A dress. Get it? Address. So silly. What would a dress?
Times have changed, and everyone at People's Alliance Federal Credit Union is here to help you adjust to that change. No matter how big or small your problem may be, we can help you, your loved ones, and coworkers get back on their feet with all their financial needs. Contact us at www.pafcu.org. People's Alliance Federal Credit Union. We put people first, even in our name.
Let's give them a hand. And now I do want to call up to the podium to speak the CEO of Long Island Cares, Paul Pachter, and co-chair of our Social Responsibility Committee also. Paul?
Good morning, welcome. It is my pleasure to be invited to deliver some welcoming remarks to you, but it's also a very proud moment for me because I'm one of the newest members of the board of the HIA-LI. I was really excited to be asked to be part of this program this morning to talk about the transformation of the industrial park to an innovation park, because that is what we've been working on for the past few years at Long Island Cares, and that is changing our footprint in a way that people not only recognize the importance of the regional food bank and our services, but also recognize the importance of this park and the endless potential that's available to all of us. When I think back on what we did to move from an industrial site, a commercial real estate site, to an innovation location, so many things came to mind. For those of you that ever pass by our building at 10 Davids Drive, also known as Harry Chapin Way, there are billboards on our building that promote many of our services. And with the thousands of cars that pass by every day, they get to see that. And we know because some of them even stop, pull into the building, park, and come in and want to make a donation or find out more about our children's programs, about our veterans programs. And then we hooked up, thanks to the HIA-LI, with my friend Scott Maskin and Sun Nation, and installed 85 solar panels on the roof of our building at number 10. And I am so proud that we have been able to provide power, electricity, to 33 families here on Long Island that are struggling to put food on their table. But because they're buying their power from Long Island Cares, they're saving about 6 cents per kilowatt hour. And that money can be reinvested in feeding their families. The other thing, go right ahead. We continue to say it takes more than food to feed the hungry. So for us, it takes the food, and now it provides the power. And if there was a way we could expand on that initiative, we would. And then recently, we added the new LED sign in front of our building, which is this big sign that shows videos and pictures. If you drive by every 20 seconds, I can assure you, you'll see Terry Maselli on the sign with the rest of the HIA when they came to volunteer. And then a few months ago, we took over another building on David's Drive, or Harry Chapin Way. And that houses number 75 David's Drive. That houses our Center for Community Engagement. And what's so innovative about that is that we really created a hub for grassroots nonprofit organizations to join us, not only in the fight against hunger, but in the fight against poverty, the fight against racism, the fight against social injustice, because all of them are root causes of hunger. And Harry wanted this organization to focus in on the root causes of hunger to see if we could change around the environment. And so in opening the Center for Community Engagement, we were able to attract other nonprofit organizations who were startups, and we provided them with free office space, free telephone service, the electricity, we don't charge for utilities. And we created 3 training spaces, one which is very big, not as big as this room, but that's the training space. And so many organizations have utilized it so far for conferences and seminars. Most recently, Islip Town Supervisor Angie Carpenter, who visited us and participated in a wonderful seminar that the town sponsored on autism in the workplace. We also created a podcast studio where we tape our Feed the Need program, and a television production space where we film our Breaking Bread series on YouTube. And we are going to continue to move in that direction, but it culminates on July 16th, correct, Tara? July 16th? 15th, when we dedicate the garden in front of the building. But let me backtrack for a second, if I didn't say this. At 75 David's Drive, we also operate a community garden, and we've just expanded it. And those of you that lead corporations, we invite you to come and take over a bed and plant vegetables and fruits. And all those fruits and vegetables go to feed the food insecure on Long Island. Lastly, if I may, on July 15th, we put the finishing touches on the front of our building with the new Chapin Legacy Walkway. This is a beautifully designed brick walkway where, if you haven't already bought your brick, you're welcome to buy them. And the center point of the garden is not only our beautiful gazebo, which is out there, but on July 15th, we're going to unveil and dedicate a statue of Harry Chapin. After all these years, this year, Harry would have turned 80 years old. And given his legacy, and given the fact that he was one of the most important Long Islanders of the 20th century, and left behind a legacy right here on Long Island through the work of Long Island Cares, we believe that Harry should be remembered in that way. And I know that Suffolk County Executive Steve Ballone, who's with us today, is going to proclaim July 16th in Suffolk County as Harry Chapin Day, and he will be there. When we unveil the bust of Harry on the beautiful pedestal. And so we're very excited. So again, if you're around on July 15th, please come and visit us. It's going to be happening at 10 o'clock in the morning. All the members of the Chapin family will be there with us. So we cordially invite you. So I think there's a lot we can do in terms of innovation. I am committed to work with Terry and the rest of our board on creating some kind of common public square within this park, because I think we have a lot to offer. And I think this morning's program with all the experts that we have available to us are really going to set a great tone. So thank you all for being here. Have a wonderful morning.
Thank you, Paul. So I do want to recognize some dignitaries that are in the room, in addition to this panel right here, which will be recognized, and the man sitting in the table over here, which will be recognized. Legislator, and we're going to ask you all to stand at the end, and then we'll give you a round of applause. Legislator Trish Bergen, Legislator Steve Flotteren, Legislator Jason Richburg, Legislator Leslie Kennedy, Suffolk County Comptroller John Kennedy, Riverhead Town Supervisor Yvette Aguero, Natalie Wright, Suffolk County Commissioner of Economic Development Planning, Marilyn Banks Winter, African American Chamber of Commerce, Patrick Boyle, Ignite, Kara Longwood, Regional Director of Empire State Development, Rosalie Drago, Commissioner of Suffolk County Department of Labor, Elizabeth Doval, Long Island rep for New York State Department of Labor Commissioner Reardon, Kyle Strover, ABLI, Kristen Reynolds, Discover Long Island, Thomas Lohman, I saw him up here, Town of Smithtown right there, John Walsner, Economic Development, Town of Islip, and Brad Hemingway, Economic Development, Town of Islip, and the Islip Trade Zone. So if you all could stand up, and we'll give you a round of applause for everything you do for Long Island. And now it's my pleasure to introduce someone who doesn't need an introduction, but I'm going to do it anyway. The president and CEO of the HIA-LI, Terry Elisi Misselli.
I realize I am the only thing between you and the county executive and Joe on this panel, so I will be very, very quick. So good morning again, everyone. Welcome. Many of you know several years ago, we embarked on a journey, and that journey was to create a sustainability study with the Suffolk IDA, with the Regional Planning Association, James Lima Planning, the town of Islip, the town of Smithtown, and it is a truly collaborative effort. And some astounding results, you've heard us talk about it before, right? 55,000 employees, 1,300 companies, 14 billion in economic output. The largest innovation park in the Northeast, only second behind Silicon Valley, and a major economic engine, right? So, you know, when you look at those things, what came out of that study was several strategies, and we've been working very hard the last few years to really push these strategies forward. I have several people to thank before I introduce Joe, and then the county exec comes in. One is the county executive. I have to say, I'm going to say it publicly, Mr. Ballone, my heart is broken that we will not have you after next year. It's absolutely broken. I mean it genuinely, because I have never seen and really dealt with such a collaborative group and such a collaborative office. So you know what? I affectionately call a group of 5 women who really get a lot done the Mag 5. They don't even know that. Kelly might know that. I don't know. One of them is Kelly Murphy. The other is Rosalie Drago. The other is Natalie Wright. The other is Lisa Black, who could not be with us. And I put myself in there. I'm sorry, I did. I put myself in there. But these ladies have helped us push this forward, and I'm adding an honorary member to that, and it's Mr. Tom Lohman is going to join those ladies, because I know you, right? Because he has seriously been instrumental in the last 2 meetings we have had, one with the Suffolk County District Attorney, Ray Tierney, to talk about the drag racing in this park and the damage that is being done to some of the properties, and he's really helping out. And the other is with the Department of Public Works, right? To move forward this expansion of the sewerage so that we do have capacity for this overlay district. So thank you, sir. Thank you, panel. Really appreciate it. Listen, this was Joe Campolo's brainchild. You know that. We could not do or could not have done what we have done and what we will be doing in the future without the man to my left. And I don't just say that. He's a true friend. He gets it. He is a chair of our economic development task force. So we are doing a lot more than what is just going on in this park. You'll hear a lot more about it. So help us welcome up Mr. Joe Campolo.
Well, I don't know about you, but I'll take Long Island squad over DC squad any day, right? What a great thing. So welcome everyone. You know, today we're going to be talking about how we transformed an industrial park to an innovation park. But I think the important question is why? Why would we want to do that? And I think the obvious answer is we're at war. In New York, we're at war right now. We're at war with Florida. We're at war with Carolinas. We're at war with Arizona. We're at war. Families and businesses every day, all day, are asking a simple question: why am I staying in New York? Okay, why? I have a place in South Florida. Every time I'm there, I'm like, why the hell am I in New York? Okay, and families and businesses can't answer that question alone. They need support from government. They need hope from government. They need an understanding that government is going to get it and give them opportunities that are better here in New York than in South Florida. Well, I don't know about the rest of New York, and I know it's a very big topic that's being debated in the gubernatorial race right now, but I do know Long Island. I know Long Island really, really well. And I can tell you here on Long Island, both in our panel and out here in our audience, we have elected officials who get it, who fight for us every single day, fight for our businesses, fight for our families, and fight for Long Island. And that is a truly remarkable statement to be making, because it's probably the first time in Long Island's history, at least since I've been following it, where we really have the courage in our elected officials that are needed to get these projects done. And we really have the bipartisan harmony needed to get these things done. And it is my pleasure to introduce our County Executive, Steve Bellone, who has been heading this fight, leading this fight, and we are super proud to welcome him here today. Steve.
Joe, thank you very much. Appreciate that introduction. And I want to thank Joe for his incredible leadership in the region. Talk about somebody who is driving innovation and driving progress for Long Island. It is Joe Campolo. And also, as always, I want to recognize him and thank him for his service to our country as well. Joe, thank you very much for what you do for Long Island. And Terry, I would put Terry in any group of people and good things would happen. But certainly when you put her with people like Natalie and Rosalie and Lisa Black and Kelly, and I would include Nicole from Smithtown, you're going to see great things happening. She has been, as long as I have been around in politics and government here, she has been a leader in this region. We're seeing the fruits of her great labor. Terry, thank you very much for your wonderful work. I want to thank all of my colleagues. You heard them mentioned from the legislature here, our minority leader, Jason Richburg, but also our deputy presiding officer, Steve Flotter, and Trish Bergen, Leslie Kennedy, legislator. We're in her district here, right? Is that right, Leslie? Yes, we are in her district. Legislator Kennedy, Controller Kennedy as well. I want to thank him. We can't do this, as Joe alluded to. We can't make progress in this region unless we're working together. Like that's the reality. Unless we're willing to put the other stuff aside to say what's in the best interest of the region, what's in the best interest of Long Island, and what's the best way forward. We're not always going to agree on that, but what we have to be able to do is to come together and work through those differences, build the consensus, and then move forward. It is not acceptable for us to just remain stagnant. The world is moving. The world is moving quicker and quicker every day. And unless we are planning and thinking and then executing, we will fall behind. Now, Long Island has always had the great advantage of having so many advantages. We have incredibly talented, skilled people, education systems, natural resources, innovation assets, proximity to the greatest city in the nation, arguably the world. So many advantages, but I think we've never been able to fully live up to our economic potential because we haven't taken full advantage of that, because we haven't always worked well together. But again, as Joe said, you're seeing that change happen now. And I would tell you what's happening here at this park, Innovation Park, is obviously possible because of the business leadership here, the private sector leadership you're seeing in the companies, as well as in the leadership of this organization. but you're also seeing it because of leadership in government. It is no accident that this park happens to be, and its success happens to be in a place where you have two innovative, forward-thinking governmental leaders who are thinking about the future, not thinking about just the politics of today and what makes sense for them personally, but what we need to do to move forward and build a better, stronger future in the decades to come. And that is Smithtown Supervisor Ed Wareheim and Islip Town Supervisor Angie Carpenter. And they deserve a great round of applause for their great leadership. We have worked with Supervisor Wareheim, downtown revitalization, economic development, doing what we can to support the efforts that are happening there in the town of Smithtown, and certainly the work that's happening here. And of course, Supervisor Carpenter, you know, you look at downtown revitalization, Bayshore is the model for the region, really, and the work that she's doing at MacArthur Airport to revitalize and bring back that airport. I cannot underscore how important that is for the region. Every great region in this country, I've said this before, has to have a great regional airport. Like that is key. This airport, owned and operated by the town of Islip, is the region's airport. And Supervisor Carpenter has done incredible work, and we are very supportive of their efforts there to continue that. And one of the most important things that has come forward is the idea of that north terminal and connecting to the train station, to Ronkonkoma train station that Islip is focused on. We are fully supportive. And the question for us is, as a region, what is next? What is the thing that we need to be working on and focusing on and building upon on the success that has occurred already? Where do we go next? And I think that has to be, you have to look at where the investments have been made and where can we successfully build upon those investments to create greater, stronger economic growth and sustainable economic growth for the region. And I think you have to look at the transportation investments. I used to say that, you know, we have this great legacy system here, transportation system, the Long Island Railroad, but that largely hasn't been invested in for 150 years. It was built in the mid 1800s, mid 19th century. But that has changed dramatically, and that is great news for Long Island. You have investments. East Side Access will be opening at the end of this year. Third Track will be opening at the end of this year. These are enormous. There's $15 billion worth of investment right there in this region is going to be opening up at the end of this year. Double track that was already built. Those three major projects go right to Ronkonkoma, where you have MacArthur Airport right there and the work that's happening in Islip. And so what can we do? What can we do? Well, what else can we do? I think we really need to build, and we've talked about this before, and this is not a new idea. The one thing I've learned is as you get older, there's no new ideas. It's just about whether you can implement and execute the good ones. That's what it's about at the end of the day. So there's been an idea that's been around for decades, and that is a Long Island Convention Center. How does a region of 3 million people, with all of the assets that we have, incredible natural resources, innovation assets, the proximity to the city, as I mentioned, not have its own convention center where we are bringing people from around the country to this region, advertising and marketing all that we have to offer here. And I saw a report not long ago, because we're coming out of COVID, and people have been asking, well, what's the world going to be like after COVID? Or are we really going to be back together? And while the workplace has changed, there is a strong desire for connectivity. People want to come together. I think everybody's very happy to be together in a room without masks, and we're talking to one another. That human desire for connectivity has not gone away. If anything, it's gotten stronger coming out of COVID. building a convention center that feeds and supports a north terminal that's directly connected to the main line of the railroad, where you have east side access and third track and double track, where people can fly into MacArthur Airport and be at a convention center, be able to easily access the city if they need to, or if you can't get a flight there, that you could fly into JFK or to LaGuardia and just take the main line right out there, because you have that connection between the airport and the train station. And there, what's next from there? Right down the line, we know 2 stops away is Brookhaven National Laboratory, this global institution in which we are the site for the next generation of groundbreaking research in physics. The electron ion collider, a $3 billion project, is happening. I know David Manning is here from the lab. That is incredible for our region. We've got to, because that is happening, and thanks Senator Schumer and everybody who helped to make that happen, that investment, but we've got to build upon those investments. And so we can open a new Brookhaven National Laboratory train station, move the Yaphank station. And then from there, it's connecting out to Riverhead. I know Supervisor Aguiar is here. Great things are happening in the town of Riverhead. Ultimately, we need to electrify that main line out to Riverhead, the gateway to the entire East End. So those are the things that I think we should really relish the success we've had and the success of this park. But if this park is going to continue to grow and surpass, let's become #1 in the country, we also need to be making the investments, not only here within the park, but around the region, that will be supportive of the innovation that's happening here and the larger innovation that we need. But I cannot emphasize enough that, again, as Joe mentioned, I think there's an opportunity right now that we have the mix of leaders in the private sector and the public sector that really are focused on getting things done for the region. This is a moment of opportunity that we should not miss. Thank you, everyone, for what you do, and you've got a wonderful panel here. Enjoy this panel.
Great. Want to thank the county executive. Let's give him a round of applause too as well. As Terry mentioned, been very super supportive. So real quick, I want to walk through a quick timeline, and then I want to get to the to the panel to hear their comments on it. But it was, let's see if I can figure this out. Yes, it was when I was a student at Stony Brook, and I took a class on land use and planning that I was introduced to Joel Garreau in his book Edge City. And the concept of this Edge City was, we're not going to build any more big metropolis cities in the country. They pretty much by the late 80s, early 90s, they pretty much all had their footprint. And where the growth over the next century in the United States was going to come were from these areas they identified as edge cities. Suburban areas that were ultimately going to have the ability to transform because of proximity, net worth, and political issues. And Hauppauge was indicated as one of them. And I didn't know much about Hauppauge, but I knew that we had this industrial park here in Hauppauge. And I'd gone away to the Marine Corps. I came back, I went to college, went to law school, and then I was done. I said, hey, let me figure out what this industrial park is all about. And as a business lawyer, having all these businesses in one area seemed pretty cool. So I got very active with HIA-LI, and about 2016. So everybody talks on Long Island, right? Very few people do things. Everybody talks, but everybody was saying, "Oh, we're going to lose our kids. Oh, everybody wants downtown. Oh, everybody wants this," but nobody was really doing a lot. And then, Patchogue really transformed and lit a fire here on Long Island by revitalizing and renovating their downtown. And then everybody started saying, wow, what a great idea. Let's do it. And that's an edge city, right? An edge city is where you live, you work, you play. That's an edge city. And so Patchogue sort of lit this fire, and Paul Pontiero became Long Island's rock star. He was everywhere getting honored, right? And it was wonderful. And then we at HIA, Terry and I, my co-conspirator, said, wait a minute, we have a park here. like this is where all the jobs are. So if people want to work, live, and play, maybe we should take a look at this. And we had a lot of resistance. We didn't have a friendly administration in the town of Smithtown. You know, we didn't have support in the town of Islip at that time. And then courageous people came into those positions and were supportive. But we looked at it and we said, okay, the first thing we have to do to get anybody's attention is to do an economic impact study, because numbers matter. Nobody cares about anything. Numbers matter. And you know, you guys know, because you hear us, we go through it, and there's the executive summary of our economic impact study. You know, 55,000 jobs, 1,450 businesses, billions and billions of dollars of economic output. And everybody said, wow, that's really cool. That's super cool, right? And then our partner in the Suffolk IDA, Kelly, our partner there, said, wow, that's great. Let's do more. Let's figure it out, right? And she was able to underwrite an opportunity analysis. And so what an opportunity analysis is, you know, major planners come in and they look at the area and they interview the stakeholders and they figure out what the rest of the world is doing in similar situations, and they come up with recommendations. And so that gave us, you know, 160-page opportunity analysis, and that gave us a playbook, right? That gave us a playbook as to what should we be doing to transform this industrial park into a living edge city, into a living, breathing, working economic engine that it could be. First thing we did was we renamed it, right? So Terry went on a mission, and it was fun because we had no idea how it got named the Hauppauge Industrial Park in the first place. We had no idea how to rename it the Innovation Park. We just did it, and nobody seemed to mind. So we thought that was pretty cool, right? It's kind of how we did it. And you know, the opportunity analysis broke it down, and we knew we needed really strong partnership in government, because you can't get anything done unless it's a private public partnership, the 3 Ps. And so as the county executive mentioned, the stars really started becoming aligned, because we were fortunate to have Angie Carpenter as our town of Islip partner and the supervisor there, and Ed Wareheim come in at the town of Smithtown. And it was like night and day, right? It's like night and day when you're just dealing with people who get it and have courage and understand that we have a really big problem here on Long Island that can be fixed, but somebody's got to do it, right? Can't keep passing the buck. And it's an amazing experience to have when you have strong leadership and strong partners like we do in Islip, Smithtown, and especially Suffolk IDA's unwavering support for the park. And we had business support. National Grid gave grants. Everybody started working. And then in the crown jewel of everybody who was a naysayer, there's a lot of haters here on Long Island. I know that's shocking. I know it's very shocking. There's a lot of naysayers and everybody's got problems, why things can't be done. But then we found friends in the Long Island Regional Planning Council who got what we were trying to do and deemed it a project of regional significance. And that opened up other grant opportunities for us as well. And that's when Terry and I sort of high-fived and said, you know, take that, haters. We don't like the haters. We just keep moving forward. It doesn't matter. And the Long Island Regional Planning Council, you know, is committed to helping us work towards a workforce development training center in the park. And you heard from Paul and Long Island Care's true leadership from the private sector there in the park. And then what we did was political courage through the town of Smithtown. They identified multiple parcels inside the park that would be appropriate to have a change to mixed use, retail, residential inside the park. And our haters hated us even more, but we didn't care. We kept moving forward, right, Ed? We just kept moving forward. School district brought in Article 78. Let me tell you something, Long Islanders, I'm telling you right here, right now, school boards are not town boards. School boards are not planning boards, okay? Your school board elections are very important. Do not ignore them, okay? They don't have the right to decide what can be developed in towns. They have a right to decide educational curriculum. And this nonsense that school boards can bring lawsuits and stop major economic development in Long Island needs to stop now. Okay, really does. And so it really pissed me off when they brought that Article 78. So we created a white paper. You did. My firm created a white paper. And it's a roadmap for developers who want to go for this mixed use in town of Smithtown and how to get around it, how to work through the process, because that development is incredibly important, right? And now we're into 2021. So we're making all this progress. Everything's great. And what happens? Boom, world shuts down, right? COVID. Didn't stop my friends here on the panel, right? We bulldozed through. Town of Smithtown had the first virtual town board hearing in the state. First in the state, leadership, love it. Okay, we got it passed. And Terry mobilized with partners inside the county for testing, vaccines, everything to be mobilized all through the park, PPE. You know, when COVID first hit and shut down, we got a call from Congressman Lee Zeldin saying, how can I help? What can I do? How do we get PPE? How do we transform businesses inside the park because they're not manufacturing anything else? How can we manufacture PPE? We saw tremendous leadership there from the congressman as well inside the park, which was terrific. Okay, and now we're here, and look at how far we've come. Look at all the initiatives that we've been able to accomplish, and now we've been able to spread our wings because one of our really good partners, who you're going to hear from in about 30 seconds, is Angie Carpenter of the town of LIIPH. And Angie sat with us all through all of these things that we were working through with the town of Smithtown. She sat on every Zoom call with us. They never said anything. Never said, what about me? What about LIIPH? No, like the haters do. She said, how can I help? What can I do? And so then it was at a lunch, not far from here at Mario's, right? We had with Angie, and we said, Angie, you're such a good partner at HIA. How can we help? She said, I have this project called MacArthur Airport. And we knew, boom, right away, that that's something that we had to fully embrace. How lucky are we on Long Island to have a regional airport like ICE at MacArthur Airport? And how lucky are we to have it? One of the few, I don't know if it's the only, but one of the few airports that are in the jurisdiction of a town. I don't know how many in the country are. And how lucky are we to have Angie Carpenter, okay, be the person who's in charge of that project. If you guys don't know, you're gonna find out because Angie, if you want, is your mic on? Want to make sure your mic's on? So we have a drum roll, right?
It is, it's on.
Yeah. So it is my great pleasure to introduce the great town supervisor from the town of LIIPH, my friend Angie Carpenter. Angie, what I'd love to do is have you shine as only you can shine, all right? So take some time and really talk about all the great things going on in the town of LIIPH. Ladies and gentlemen, Angie Carpenter.
Thank you. Thanks so much. It is a great town. It's a great county. Smithtown's a great town. How lucky am I to be neighbors and share the industrial park, although they have the lion's share of the industrial park, but we've got a part of it. And yeah, we have an airport and we are lucky to have that airport. And times are different all over and not just because of COVID. Pre-COVID, the airport experienced a downturn and the industry changed dramatically. FAA changed regulations and the length of time that crews could be in the air. It got reduced. So now a flight from Islip to Vegas, which was very popular and we're working on trying to get that back, could send a crew out and send that crew back. Now it was too far. They had to bring in a new crew. So now the cost of running that route became that much higher. And it's all about the money in anything, really. And we had to prove to them that, or we have to now prove to the airlines that we can have them be successful at our regional airport. And they want data. They don't want, you know, the days of going to a Jumpstart convention and talk about your particular location and why they should come there. And then they, you know, start service. Doesn't work that way anymore. They want real quantifiable data that shows that they are going to be successful. So we, for the first time, have a professional air service development team, and they reinforce that with us, that we need the data. So how do you get it? Well, you turn to Terry, you turn to Joe, and you say, you've got an industrial innovation park here with 1,400 businesses. That's incredible when you think about it in one spot. And, you know, we drive my Motor Parkway, you know, you're on the LIE, and you don't really think about it. Take a ride through the park, as I did when I left Long Island Cares a couple of weeks ago, and just be impressed by the enormity and the kinds of businesses and what's going on here every single day that we don't think about, talk about, but is making such a huge difference on the island, in the region. And the fact that we have this regional asset and regional impact, I can't help but be impressed by the fact that the Riverhead Town Supervisor schlepped all the way here, you know, early in the morning. But that reinforces how important it is that what we do in one location has an effect on another, and we've got to do things together. We've got to look at things globally and not in silos. And that's where HIA Long Island has been so extraordinarily successful and helpful and impactful and all those good things. And I had a chuckle when I'm sitting here listening to Joe talk about the haters, because those very haters go to town board meetings, right? They go to Smithtown. They were at ISLIP last night, and they spew this venom, and it's intimidating sometimes. And you have to remember why you decided to be a supervisor or a town board member. You did it to make a difference, and you have to have that intestinal fortitude and be willing to go with what you know in your gut is the right decision. Even though they glare at you and they say, I voted for you and I'm not voting you, I'm voting you out of office. And all right, you know, but you've got to do the right thing. You really have to do, and we have all of the tools that we need. We just have to have that intestinal fortitude and move forward and do it. And I'm looking at John Walzer, who heads our IDA and our economic development initiatives in the town of Islip, along with Brett Hemingway. And, you know, he's out there. He's a resource. He's there for our businesses. And in the town, we've just kicked off KIT, Keep Islip Thriving. Everybody needs an acronym. And we're using part of the funding that we got through ARPA and just throwing it out to the business community, offering grants up to $5,000 and no payback. It's not a loan. And they just have to prove that they've had, you know, an economic hardship because of COVID. So that, you know, is going on now. So anyone that you know that is in Islip, please have them contact, you know, John and his team and apply for it. It's pretty simple, pretty easy. But yeah, there's a lot of exciting things going on, and I'm looking at that clock, so I'm not going to go on. But we'll be here. We'll hang around if anybody has any questions. And again, thank you, Joe, Terry, and everyone in the HIA Long Island. And the fact that, you know, many of you that are sitting here are business owners. You could be there doing what you need to do to make a living, but you're here being a part of how it's going to make wonderful things happen going forward. So thank you.
Thanks, Andy. Really, thanks. You know, and a special thank you to HIA-LI members who always rise to the occasion, always rise to the challenge. What Angie was alluding to is when a new carrier, Breeze, was looking to be locating here at the airport. You know, we reached out to help, and she said what would be really helpful is showing the business community's support. And they were hopeful for maybe 25 or 50 responses from the business community. Our members, we went out to our members got over 500 responses, right?
It was
For
incredible.
the airport.
Yep.
Really incredibly rapid and mobilized, and nothing, you know, I'm a Marine. Once a Marine, always a Marine. For me, once an HIA-LI member, always an HIA-LI member. Really, truly amazing resource to reach out and get that type of support. And that's what it takes. You know, you can't spend your life complaining about elected officials if you don't get involved and try to support, because they need our help. They need support. They need advocacy. And most importantly, they need political cover. They can't go out on a limb and take an ambitious position and then turn around and have crickets behind them, okay, when they do so. And there's nobody more important than the business community to give them support and give them, you know, that protection that they need when they're doing the right thing.
Jill, can I just expand upon that? And I should have mentioned it, but Breeze Airways, who in the room has not heard about Breeze? Okay, that's a
They've
few
been
more
under a
people.
rock.
But that's not unusual. You know, we're all busy in our lives and working and doing our families. Everybody's got a million things going on and you don't always stop to pay attention. But Breeze Airways has the opportunity to really make a tremendous difference for the region. Breeze Airways is founded by David Nealman, who is the co-founder of JetBlue. Now, we all heard about JetBlue and everybody's like, why can't we have JetBlue at, you know, Long Island McGrath Airport? Well, I think we've got the best part of JetBlue, the guy that started it, who has vision and can make things happen. So they come to us like 3 or 4 years ago. That's how long things like this take. And he said he's starting this airline. So we had to sign non-disclosure agreements, and I can't believe nobody picked up on it. He's at Hangar 1, or he was at Hangar 1 at the airport. We gave him the space. They started their airline there. That's where Breeze Airways was born. And they did their proving runs there, their certification, training, you know, crews and everything in our hangar. Then the airplanes started coming. We're thinking, oh my God, now, you know, Newsday is going to hear about it. Nothing. It was amazing. But anyway, they start flying in July, but they had not made a decision on where they were going to site themselves in the New York market. And that's where the survey really was so impactful and really helped make the decision. And so now we're their airport. We're their New York airport. 2 flights right now to start with, Norfolk, Virginia, which is incredibly important to what is happening at Brookhaven Labs, believe it or not. That huge project. And, you know, I heard the county executive mention the efforts of Senator Schumer and, of course, Congressman Zeldin. That project was going to go to Jefferson Labs in Virginia. And it was the dogged determination of the congressman and the senator that got it here in New York at Brookhaven Labs. But Jefferson Labs is going to be a part of it there, right there near Norfolk Airport. So now all of these scientists are going to be able to go back and forth nonstop, because before that, the only nonstop airport that you could get to Norfolk from was Newark. Okay, so they were already talking about chartering buses to get the people up here because it just didn't make sense. So, you know, again, long story short, it is that work that you guys did. So when you get those surveys and think about, you know, do fill them out, do send them in, because it really does make a difference. And now we have those 2 destinations that we didn't have before, Charleston, South Carolina, Norfolk, Virginia. Yesterday, we launched Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina on Frontier Airlines. Southwest is now flying nonstop to Nashville. So it's not just Florida, and there's going to be more to come. So thank you.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
really, really great stuff, Angie. And, you know, the next thing we can do, members, is there's a fundraiser that we're underwriting and hosting at the airport the last week of June. I think the 28th to 29th.
In Hangar 1.
In Hangar 1, where Breeze was launched. We're going to have food. We're going to have booze. We're going to have music. So make sure you come and help us kick off the summer in Hangar 1. And really great work. And, you know, for those of us who have been dealing with the town at Smithtown for a very long time, you know, the acronym was they get nothing done, right? And then all of a sudden something happened. This man called Ed Wareheim, you know, came out and decided to run for town supervisor. And now he's running out of things he can do in the town, right? We're trying to creatively find ways to get new projects for him to do, because I affectionately call him Flash. He came in, he rolled up his sleeves. I don't think he slept. I don't think he stopped. He just won re-election by a landslide with good cause. And our good friend, Mr. Ed Wareheim. Let's hear for Ed. Yes.
Thank you very much, Joe and Terry and the Innovation Park Board. It's a pleasure to be here with you folks this morning. It is also a pleasure of mine to work along with Supervisor Carpenter. We're neighbors, and it's a pleasure to work with you, Angie, on all the initiatives. So I'll be brief because I know we're on the clock. So as Joe said, there wasn't a whole lot going on in Smithtown. I was a board member for 12 years. I had to sit back and watch it, and then decided to make a run for supervisor, put a great town board together. Councilman Lohman is here as one of our board members. Extreme cooperation, and one of the first initiatives that we got involved in was the Innovation Park. There was nothing going on in Smithtown in conjunction with this park. There wasn't much interest in it. It's kind of left out there by itself. I knew even when I was a councilman, it is the largest economic driver that we have for Smithtown. And it was just, in my opinion, wasted opportunity. So of course, when Joe and Terry and the board started their initiative on where they were going with this park, I was extremely excited. So was the board. And of course, we were all in. So we attended for more than 2 years, all of the scoping meetings, the LIMA planning meetings, everything. And we really bought into what's going on and how we're going to bring this park into the future. So what did we need to do in Smithtown? Initially, one of the discoveries were that young professionals in this geographical area need a place to live and not a half-acre, $700,000 home. They need apartments and rentals. So we took 13 properties, 7+ acres in the park, and we did an overlay zone. We zoned all those properties for mixed use. We're now down to 12 because one has changed, and that is because of sewer capacity. And of course, we can't proceed with the overlay zone without capacity built into the sewer system. So I will tell you that we work every day with the county. We just had a meeting yesterday with Joe and Terry and the engineers, H2M and the county. We will ultimately come up with the formula for capacity, and we are very, very confident that those other 12 properties will be developed into mixed use. That was a huge initiative. As Joe indicated, it came with a lot of hate and a lawsuit from a school district, but I am happy to say here that we persevered and we will get the job done. There's no doubt about it. So now what else did we need to do to bring this whole idea to fruition? Well, we have 3 business districts in Smithtown. They were also basically deteriorating for many, many years. So what did we do? We put a program in place, and we have 3 business districts: St. James, Smithtown, and Kings Park. All 3 of those business districts have a Long Island Railroad station right in the downtown. It's very rare. You don't see that much, but it is a huge advantage. So to supplement what we're doing in the park, we started to revitalize all 3 business districts. So I will tell you briefly, St. James is coming to completion. There are sewer mains installed, brand new water mains, complete streetscapes redone in the business district, and we're finalizing it with a community park right in the center of the business district with off-street parking. So that is a model that we took, and now we move to Smithtown. Smithtown is underway across from Town Hall. There's a development project, 72 market rate apartments, which I indicated is needed for young professionals to stay in this area. They need those kind of units to live and work. We are in the process of working on the former psychiatric center for a parcel of property for drainage fields, which will allow us to then sewer the Smithtown Business District. The Kings Park Business District, we just completed working with the county and the $20 million available that was put there by the state of New York. And we are very, very pleased to say we're completed, engineering work is completed, and there will be a shovel in the ground late fall and completion of sewering in that business district in 2025. So that is going to set those 3 business districts up, which are all important and in conjunction with what we're doing with the Innovation Park. That will set them up for enormous future growth. I know everybody in this room knows, once those sewers are in, growth is certainly going to happen. We already have applicants coming in speaking about future transit-oriented development all around those hubs where the railroad station is. And that is going to certainly, and it came out in all of the studies that were done, that's how we keep young professionals staying here at home because they want to work, they want nightlife, they want thriving business districts with restaurants, theaters, things of that nature. It's proven throughout the country. That is what's going to keep us soluble in here in the town of Smithtown, and it's how we can help everything we need to do with the Innovation Park. So it's along with that, I will finish by saying this. Another component that had to go along with that was parks, beaches, recreational facilities. And what we've done in the first 4 years of this administration, we put $34 million into those facilities. We have some of the finest facilities in the state of New York. And why is that important? It's important because that's what brings people to the community. That's why people look around and buy a home here. And as far as these residential homes go, what we have found, and we've morphed into a number of areas where apartments are viable. We've had 98 apartments built in Comac, and it was so successful. They just bought the 2 adjacent properties to the east, and they're in the process with an application to build about 100 more. We have 188 apartments going in the hamlet of Wisconsin. So we know what we need to do to keep our people here. So as Joe and Terry said, to work, live, and recreate right in this area, it's very important. And these apartments, and I didn't really see it in the beginning, but I learned as we went along what was happening. Homeowners that were empty nesters would sell these single family homes to younger families and then move into these apartments because they might migrate back and forth to Florida or the Carolinas. So I will tell you, this whole platform we put together has been wildly successful. We are doing very, very well in Smithtown. We're thriving. And one of our main initiatives is to make sure that we are a partner and make sure that what Joe and Terry and the board are trying to do in this innovation park, we will be partners with them to make sure that it happens. So we're going to continue to work hard. I know there has been some problems with law enforcement. I know that my good friend, Councilman Lohman, is here. He has put together a task force with Suffolk County Police Department and the DA. We will have those criminal problems remedied in a short period of time. He has a great career in law enforcement. Proud to have him on the board. He is also my government liaison officer and the liaison to the Hopog Industrial Park. So I think the plan we put together, I'm watching it, it's working, and I guarantee you we will get it done. As Joe said, the way I work, the way Angie works, we're not worried about the opposition. He is right. When we turn around, we'd love to see you people here when we're getting the crap beat out of us at these board meetings. But most of the time you are. So we're going to continue to go, and we're going to make sure that this is a success for the Innovation Park, Smithtown, HIA-LI, and all of Long Island. So thank you very much, Joe.
I don't know. So it's so refreshing to have the town supervisors here. Prior to Ed being town supervisor, we weren't just ignored by the town of Smithtown. We were actually met with hostility by the town of Smithtown. And we were like, wait a minute, we're like the largest taxpayers here. And what's going on, right? And Ed, when he was campaigning, promised he'd listen to us, and here he is. And it's really great to see, elected officials that do the right thing, and we stand behind them. So one of the greatest things that's come out of the transformation from an industrial park to an innovation park is the transformation of our board. My fellow board members at HIA-LI are truly, remarkable people because they just give up so much time. It's time. Money's important, but money's easy. Money's a check, and then you're off to your business. It's the time, and the board really rolls up their sleeves and digs into initiatives. But it's not just the board members. We've transformed we started an innovation park task force based on the opportunity analysis. And we transformed that into an economic development task force, a total economic development task force, because the more you get involved, the more you realize everything is connected. Everything on Long Island impacts everything. And our task force has become wildly, wildly successful because what we do is we address an issue and then we get all the stakeholders on that task force to try and work through that issues. And a couple of examples. So Ed mentioned law enforcement and drag racing. So one of the things that was going on in the park is on weekends, a lot of drag racing. Kids would be coming from other neighborhoods with their cars, and the building owners were worried about things that were going on there. And vis-a-vis our task force and the Honorable Tom Lohman there, who sits on every task force meeting. He's the town of Smithtown designee, as does both town supervisors. They don't staff it out. They're on every single call, every single meeting themselves. But we said, Tom, we have a problem. There's drag racing. And he said, great. And he got the Suffolk County District Attorney, Ray Tierney, new Suffolk DA. And we got everybody in a room and we're able to solve that problem. That's what HIA-LI is all about, is rolling up our sleeves, getting things done, because elected officials need checks. We get that, right? We do. It's important, but they also need feet on the street and help from the business community. So we advocate for every major economic initiative that's going on Long Island is what we've been able to work towards. Sewer projects. So, Ed referred to issues with the sewers in the park. And what did Terry do? I mean, Terry's that woman's she doesn't stop. She gets everybody in a room. Everybody in a room. Let's talk. Let's start solving this. Let's start finishing this. And we sat in that room. It's painful, but you got to get through it, right? You got to get through it. And you got to figure out what the issues are and who owns it and who's delivering. And that's what we are so proud that we are able to help everybody come together and get it done. And that's what HIA is all about. So members should know that that's how hard we're working for you guys as well. Somebody else that's an important part of our team, and Natalie Wright is Commissioner of Economic Development. She's on every single call. We had her when she was pregnant. We had her with her newborn. We had her now with her toddler. She's every single call trying to get it done, as is Kelly Murphy from Suffolk IDA. Great, 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 great partner. Really great. And, our Mets are doing great, Kelly. So it's off to a great start, right? It really is. But I do want to introduce our deputy executive of the Suffolk IDA, such an important partner to Suffolk County and to the Innovation Park. So Kelly, tell us all the great things going on in your world as well.
Well, good morning. I'd like to thank Terry and Joe. The partnership means so much to all of us at the IDA, but especially to me. And Terry, my friend, to be included in any group that you're named in is quite an honor. So thank you. Just to talk a little bit about the IDA and what we do. Our mission is really to help businesses grow, relocate, or remain here in the county. And we do that by offering financial incentives to companies in exchange for commitment in private capital investment and job retention and job growth. And we think those are really important aspects of what we do and really at the core of what our mission is. Over the years, as times have changed, we have gotten involved in, as Joe and Terry both talked about, aside from the work that we do with companies, we feel it's important to work with the communities as well. So we have a professional services agreement with RPA, and that's allowed us to do some planning in towns, hamlets, and communities that, but for the assistance, wouldn't have the planning resources or somebody in the town or the financial wherewithal to do that. So quite some time ago, Terry and I were talking, and every time we get together, we create work for ourselves and for Rosalie and ultimately Natalie. So, but these projects have resulted in some really great outcomes. So if you go by Motor Parkway, 410 Motor Parkway, it's right across the street from the small shopping center there where Chipotle is. That was one of the IDA projects that we worked on and met with Craig Padover. I want to say it was at least 5 or 6 years ago at this point. And we stood in his parking lot and he told us about his vision for a mixed use, flexible space, office building that cantilevered in at the top and, you know, had an outdoor space, had electric car chargers, had big open office space, you know, for more collaborative New York City type of vibe. And we all know what happened in the last 4 years, the building, and if you have not been by there, I encourage you to do so. So Craig was way ahead of his time. And that building will hopefully be open in the next couple of months with retail on the ground floor with some really amazing tenants. I know he's worked very closely, Ed, with you and Tom and your staff. And it's something we're very proud of, but it really was what prompted me to say to Terry, hey, Terry, let's take some of these planning dollars and see what we can do for the park and looking at the next decade and what the park would look like. And so clearly Joe and Terry took off from there, and we've been fortunate enough to continue to participate on certain levels and different times. But aside from that, you know, we've had a really, really tremendous year at the IDA. 2021, we did about 10 projects, and those 10 projects resulted in $373 million in private capital investment. The retaining or new jobs was about 3,700, resulting in a payroll that was 283 million. So that's something we're pretty proud of. And almost half of those projects are here in the park. I ran some numbers recently, and in the last 5 years, almost 50% of the work that we do is here in the park. And I have to acknowledge John Walzer, who runs the IDA in Islip, along with Angie. We work as partners. Oftentimes we're accused of competing with each other, but I can assure you, as John would, that is never the case. Economic development is a team sport, and something we all work together on. And over the years, we've found that, you know, housing and workforce are two of the pillars that are part of economic development and are things that we have to collaborate on. When Commissioner Drago came into the Department of Labor, we had worked together previously because she worked with WDI, which is a really amazing workforce group that provides grant funding to companies. And so one of the things we do at the IDA is we always include all of our partners in utilities, in the state, in workforce development, Department of Labor. And we think that's just critical in terms of providing a full suite of benefits so that not only can we retain the important companies like Contract Pharmacal that has now 12 buildings in the park. I won't talk about it since you're here, but I usually do. Terry will tell you. But so these initiatives have really expanded out. So the old industrial development agency, kind of like the industrial park, we've all been talking, maybe we need to change the name of that as well to the innovation agency. I'm not sure, but it is far beyond industrial at this point, and it needs to be, and it needs to continue to grow. And I know many of you read Newsday and sometimes read stories about IDAs and things that we give away or things that we do, and none of it's founded. But I can tell you, we are all very committed professional economic developers, and we are as dedicated and committed as the passion that you heard from Angie and from Ed to helping grow Long Island, to keeping our young people here, to creating a workforce pipeline that starts to train kids in high school about all the amazing opportunities in manufacturing and many other careers that are here on Long Island, because we want our kids to be here and we all want to be here. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Kelly. Really, we certain at HIA wouldn't have made it to where we are without your friendship and support. Really, it's been tremendous. And some of the other things that we do at HIA through our Economic Development Task Force, which really is about taking public sector and private sector and working together with them, is try to raise awareness. And you mentioned our great Suffolk County Commissioner of Labor, Rose LIIPH, but we also had an opportunity to meet with the New York State Commissioner of Labor, Roberta Reardon, she's a trip. She's a really interesting lady. She really is. But it was an amazing, eye-opening experience at how much state departments of labor actually support and contribute to economic development, right? Because as business owners, you're just like, oh, I'm getting screwed out of unemployment again. That's the perception. It's not at all. Really, there's a whole ecosystem that people have to understand that departments of labor really work hard to try and keep businesses going and keep their workforce thriving. And we're going to be putting out a report as to how to best utilize the departments of labor as businesses for that as as well. And we're talking about this innovation park like it's a mythological thing that only exists in an abstract. We have two great residents of the park here that we're going to hear from now, because you can't be an innovation park unless you have innovation, right? And I'm just a country lawyer. I'm not really innovative, but these guys are amazing and their companies are amazing. And so first I want to introduce Jeff Reingold, who's the COO of Contract Pharmacare. As Kelly mentioned, they own 12 buildings inside the Innovation Park, which is extraordinary. We want to hear all about their story and why they love being in the Innovation Park. Right, Jeff?
Exactly. Thanks so much. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Terry. Thank you to the board. Appreciate it. I have to share. So we just got back from a spring break trip. And when I told the kids we were going away, they said, are we going to that close airport or the one really far away? So it was the close one. And it's Islip MacArthur that they love. So thank you for that. The close airport is how we talk about it. Thank you so much. Thank you for the introduction. It's great. And I love sharing what we do at CPC. I'm so proud of the growth that we've had over my tenure. For those of you who don't know CPC, Contract Pharmacare Corp. has been in business for over 50 years. 47 of those are right here in Hauppauge in this innovation park. And we're just continuing to grow here. Mr. Wolf, when he started the company, was looking for a great location. How do I get great people? And that's what we have here, right? We have a tremendous amount of space. We now have 12 of those buildings, which really helps us. We have great talent, great schools we could pull from, resources from local communities. That's something that you need to run your business. In addition, the locality is great for our industry, for the pharmaceutical industry. So who's CPC? We're a contract manufacturer of pharmaceuticals, OTC, and dietary supplements. I promise you have probably one of our products. It doesn't have our name on it, but our brand or that retail, the store you might shop at, the products are coming right out of here, right out of Hauppauge. The business has grown tremendous. So I've been with the organization for 14 years. When I started at CPC, we were about 200 people in 2 facilities. And today we're 1,500 employees, and that's in about 750,000 square feet of space, which is tremendous. The park has allowed us to grow. It's actually one of the selling points that we utilize with our partners. I had 2 visitors in this week, major brand holders. Everyone would know their names. And the first part of my presentation, as any sales presentation, is mentioning that we are one of the largest industrial parks in the country right here. All right. And that's something that, again, we are proud of, not just because of our organization, but because of what that means for our partners, that we can pull talent, pull resources from this local community. And we use that all the time. In addition, the park feeds us in a different ways, right? The power that comes to our facilities, underground fed power, multiple substations. What does that mean? Continuity of business. When Superstorm Sandy came through, we were shut down proactively for one day, and right back up and running. We had the ability to let our employees, their families come use our facilities for powering up cell phones and laptops and helping out throughout that time. So the continuity that the park allows us is a selling point, again, to our partners around the world. In addition to, again, like I said, the location. It's easy for our partners to fly in. They flew into that close airport and they flew out of that close airport yesterday. So that definitely helps as we look to grow this business. We are constantly adding and looking to the future. And what that means is expansion products. So we appreciate all the support we get from the IDA and other local programs. We're kicking off an apprenticeship program, looking at getting personnel on board, which is very important. When COVID hit, as everyone, it hit CPC hard as well. We were deemed essential. We never shut down, even though we were running at maybe 40% of our capacity. But then post-COVID, we're dealing with different challenges today. Supply chain, logistics, boats getting stuck at a port for 50 days, and those materials are critical for us. So there's a lot of challenges, and I bring it up because I think it's an important piece for everyone here to kind of talk about, right? Getting materials in, getting materials out is going to be critical for the success of what we're doing. The other piece that came out of COVID was bringing on talent got much more difficult, getting people back to work. So that recruitment, retention became much more critical. And we put a lot of programs in place at CPC, but also, again, working with other organizations here to help support that. The park, again, has been instrumental in our success and will continue to be, our home. We're excited to, again, add to and grow the business. And again, I appreciate, Joe, the introduction and letting me speak today. So thank you so much.
Thanks so much. Well, Jeff, really, really funny story. So pre-COVID, Terry and I had an opportunity to walk through the facility with Mark and our hairnets, and you guys were doing a mass production. And I asked Mark, I said, "Oh, what is that?" And he said, "It's actually a hangover remedy that we produce." So during COVID, I can understand why you were deemed a critical facility at that point, right? It's really, really great stuff. I have to tell you, these guys are amazing. Like we just see the outside of buildings. You go inside and it's this amazing complex ecosystem of production, mass production that's going on, and really, truly incredible stuff. And our last speaker, so I mentioned our incredible board of directors here at HIA. Greg is a newer member, and I've gotten to know Greg. He is the most humble, mild-mannered, brilliant technologist that you're ever going to meet in your life. Again, a guy, if you met him, you would wonder, I wonder what this guy does. He's not really a good poker player, probably, because you could never, ever tell. But if you have a lunch with him and he starts talking about what he's been able to accomplish in his career, it's amazing. So I'm proud to have him as a friend, a board member, and and part of the Innovation Park story. So Greg Goldie.
Very much. With an introduction like that, I'm really, a little bit speechless, and I don't want to stand in the way of you and your second Chick-fil-A sandwich. But I love Long Island. Okay, I came here. The expressway ended at exit 57 when I started coming here. I've lived from Hampton Bays to Roslyn to Patchogue in the olden days, and I started in Riverhead. I started my business in Riverhead. I actually worked at Brookhaven Lab before that. Picked Riverhead to start my business, and the IDA helped me move to Hauppauge because we're a professional services business first and foremost, and I needed the raw material, I needed the business partners, looking for the clients to support the clients, and it's been a fabulous 43-year run. We support K through 12 schools and hospitals throughout the 9 northeastern states, K through 12 schools and hospitals around the country. So we have about 110 hospitals that we support in a variety of ways, everything from infrastructure to software that we've written, and a lot of technical stuff that only my guys really understand. But in the K through 12 arena, we operate student information systems. So many of your kids, if you have a parent portal, you may know the name Infinite Campus. We were instrumental in driving their business for the last 12 years. And it was a place that I started. When I started the business 43 years ago, I always felt that K through 12 and the kids were a place to start making a difference because you get to inject in them and start their education early. And it's become so important through COVID now, because what was changing in the K through 12 marketplace has gotten a huge acceleration in the last 2 years. If you have any kids, you've been struggling with the challenges that these kids have between masks and distance learning. And we've developed so many solutions. And I like to say one of the things that the people from Long Island and especially in the industrial park, the workers that we've been able to attract have helped us to punch above our weight, as I think Long Island does as well. And so we support Philadelphia School District. We're the sole supplier of infrastructure services for New York City School District for the last 7 years. And we built out their internet structure in the 2000s with IBM and Cisco and Verizon. So we have some great partners, and but we're the kind of the company you never heard of. But we have about 400 people now. We'll have 500 people by the end of the year. And we've just taken on some investment capital. And one of the investors is the Hunt family who own the Chiefs. And so that's a tremendous growth engine for us. And we're excited about adding to what Long Island can do, but just to show the reach, the international reach really that Long Island can have as it builds its capabilities. And I think it's really important. And Joe and Terry have done a great job at communicating some of the capabilities and some of the accomplishments that the businesses have done. I've been a HIA member since 1985, and I'm proud to be on the board. And looking forward to talking to more of you later on. But it's been just it's a great run, and we're just taking off from here. So Long Island is a great place, and it's great to see so much passion in this room. Thank you.
Thanks, Greg. Really appreciate your support across the board. Folks, let's have a round of applause for our great panel. Let's really give it up for our great panel. It's really tremendous. And, in closing, and we're right on time, so just hang in there. In closing, I want to invite up, our leader. She doesn't walk quietly, but she does carry a big stick, okay? Terry will throw an elbow when needed, and she'll use Dale Carnegie techniques. I call it her jujitsu on you whenever needed, right? But really, let's give her a round of applause because she's the one who pushes this forward every single day. Terry.
Funny. He's too humble. He's the one who's writing back at me, push, push, push. And the board, those board members who were still here, push, push. It's a beautiful thing. So listen, we've heard a lot about, what we're doing, collaborative effort, certainly bipartisan collaborative effort, which makes it beautiful. And it could not happen with all these people. Stay tuned. I know many of you have come up to us and asked about the park and what's going on and how do you get involved and how do you sell your business, your services. You'll see a lot of growth. I mean, Kelly, we didn't touch on it too much, but there's some major development that will be coming down the pike within the next probably 6 months. Haagen-Dazs, Haagen-Dazs, Haagen-Dazs. Coffee ice cream, my favorite, but a lot of real progressive development. So again, stay tuned. You will hear a lot more about this at our trade show, which is May 26th. We're doing a program on projects of regional significance. So hang in there. Hope to see you on the 26th, everybody. Have a great afternoon. Thank you.